Hello.
Hey Don, you there?
Hey Don.
I'm here. Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, Don, just do you want to let us know how you got involved in the sport and what led you to training fighters?
Basically, I was a very late starter. My father is a banker, his background. He brought us here in the 70s. His bank posted him to England, and he brought his family with him. And I came in the year of 1974 to England. And coincidentally, it was the big rumble in the jungle, Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. And the week that I got into the country was actually the week that the weekend of the fight happening. I remember, I believe it was the 14th of October 1974. And and I was hooked. My dad is a fanatical Muhammad Ali fan. After watching that fight, basically changed my life. I thought, I was 14 years old, and I thought, you know what, I really like this. And my father never boxed himself, but like I said, he was a city worker, banker. And being from Africa, my upbringing was purely education, which I'm so glad my parents were that way inclined, because it helped me a lot in my life, later on in my life. But nevertheless, my passion was boxing. It wasn't till later on in my late, in fact early 20s, I walked into a boxing gym, which was at Harrow Road in London, the All Stars gym. It's still there. It's basically, I call that the Mecca of the boxing, because that gym's been there forever. Mr. Akai runs that gym, and that was my very first experience of going to a boxing gym. And from there I was hooked. The very first time I walked into a ring, I got beaten up because they thought I was a boxer when I stepped in there, because having watched Muhammad Ali on television at home in my garden, I used to mimic Muhammad Ali's footwork and movement, and I could do all that. And if you were to look at me, you'd say, okay, this guy boxes. So when I walked into the gym, I started shadow boxing, and the trainer there said, oh, you box, do you? I said, yeah, I don't actually, but obviously. And anyway, cut long story short, he gloved me up, and I got a pasting, and he then realized this guy can't actually fight, as in box. I've never been taught. But he said, look, I'm going to help you because you've got natural movement and stuff. So anyway, he started to teach me. And I didn't fight for another 4 years. I left, and then I went back. I started gloved up properly when I was 24. And I had 13 amateur bouts for Brixton ABC. And I lost 3 fights on points. But my last fight, I got stopped by a chap called Harry Senior. I boxed as a super heavyweight for the Brixton club. I boxed a guy who's called Harry Senior. And the club that I represented in Brixton at the time, we had Danny Williams was my junior. A guy called Spencer Fearing, who's a promoter now. And there was a few boys there who went on to do really well. Mainly Danny Williams is the one from that club that went on to do really good things. And consequently, I was really a lot older than them. I was 10 years older than all the other boys. And later on in my life, a lot happened in my life, personal life, that I couldn't continue to box, because I had to choose whether I turned professional, because time was not on my side, or do I chase business. I chose business because my background, like I said, I'm quite an educated man, and I chose to go that path. I run a series of my own businesses, small businesses, may I add. And it wasn't until later on I realized something was missing in my life. It was almost like my soul was dying. I was missing boxing so much. I realized I couldn't compete anymore. So that's what drove me towards to say, right, I'm going to try the training, becoming a trainer. And I'm a perfectionist. Whatever I do, I always strive to be the best that I can in that field. So I took up the training thing for the last 10 years. That's what I've been doing. I haven't trained any professional boxers prior to acquainting myself with Mr. Chisora. So anyway, you haven't been able to get a word in. I've been going on so far away. You only asked me one question, and
no, that's fine, Don. Yeah, just was going to ask you about how you first met Derek and what you first thought of his style.
Yeah, again, it was purely an accidental a meeting. I believe in fate. Fate brought us together because it was, in fact, it was, I've been together with Derek for 8 years now. I remember he lives in the same area as me. I live in North London, Finchley, North London. And Derek lives a place called Temple Fortune, which is in Golders Green. It's a little area in Golders Green, which is next door to Finchley. I do remember I was with my colleague. We were driving to go and do, because he's a producer, music producer, my colleague. His name is Des Parks. And we were driving, and I needed to get some petrol for my car. So we pulled into a petrol station. As I was filling up my car, my Jeep, I overheard my friend having a conversation with whom we now know as Derek Chisora. I believe Derek had a T-shirt on, because it was summer. He had a T-shirt on that said Finchley Boxing Club on it, with boxing gloves on it, a logo. So my friend approached and said, "Oh, you're a fighter." I could overhear the conversation. I wasn't actually looking. I was just concentrating on putting petrol in my car. So I heard my friend asking, "So you're a boxer?" And Derek says, "Yeah." Just one answer. And my colleague said, "Well, if you want to get the real stuff, you need to see my guy over there," as in referring to me. So Derek obviously looked over. He didn't actually approach me, because I think it was, at the time, I think he was only 19 years old, Derek. And I think he was a bit shy. A big lad, he was a big lump. I looked up and I saw this big guy, a very, very big guy. He wouldn't, obviously, I think he was too shy to approach me like my friend had requested. So I made the move. I said, "Look, I overheard the conversation. So you're a boxer?" He said, again, I only got one answer, "Yeah." So I said, "Okay, who do you box for?" He said, "Oh, Finchley Boys, the amateur club." I said, "Oh, right. So how long have you been boxing?" He told me, "Not very long." I said, "How many fights have you had as an amateur at that point?" He said, "I believe it was 7. I said, how have you been doing?" He said, "Well, he's lost 1 out of the 7. I said, "You know what, that's very good." I said, "I'm actually in the process of opening my own gym. You're quite welcome to come down. I'll have a look at you. And if I can give you any pointers, any tips, I will." He said, "Okay, fine." So I gave him my number. And to my surprise, a week to the date of me giving him the number, he called me. I said, "Okay, Mr. Chisora." I said, "Right." I said, my gym, actually at the time, I'd only just acquired the property. I hadn't actually started building. It was a disused, very large disused garage in pretty bad state at the time. So I said, "Look, my gym's not actually built, but I'm in the process of starting the works. You're quite welcome to come there. I will have a look at your style, and then if I can give you any tips, I will." So anyway, he did meet me at the gym. This story, I could actually expand it, but I'm going to cut it short because there's a lot to it that I'm going to get to the point. So when he came to the gym, like I said, it was a disused old garage. They used to store cars in there. So it had these metal shutters and the electric shutters, but they were broken. So when you open it, you have to literally prop it up with a piece of long plank to hold up the gate, so to let daylight and some air inside the garage. Anyway, he must have thought I was a madman, because there was one punch bag hanging on a rope. That's all I had in there, and one broken mirror leaning on the wall, just like out of Rocky. Anyway, so I told him to shape up, show me your stance. He did, and had a set of pads, and I called out some shots, some combinations, and basic combinations. And yeah, I could see the kid possessed a lot of power, but there was hardly any technique there. Balance was awful. And anyway, from there, I gave him a few pointers. I think he liked what I showed him. And obviously, he was still an amateur, so he went back to his amateur club. But from time to time, he will come to me to get pointers. And this relationship carried on all throughout him winning he won the ABAs, novice ABAs, and then straight away won the senior ABAs the year after, back to back. And he wasn't supposed to have done that because he was total novice, and people didn't give him a chance to do that. And I know this is a bit of a naughty thing of myself, in the sense that he was training with me on the quiet, if you know what I mean. And so he was picking up some valuable tips from me. Anyway, he went on to do really well as an amateur. He had altogether, I believe he had 22 fights as an amateur, winning the ABAs back-to-back. He won silver or Four Nations. I believe he won the actual gold, but I believe he got robbed. You know, he was in Ireland at the time, the competition, and he lost that to a chap, but he got silver. And from there, he came back. He was looking on possibly getting the pick to go to the Commonwealth Games. David Price was pulled out of that the ABAs that particular year because he was in the England squad. I believe had they not pulled David Price out and let David Price do the ABAs, I believe that Chisora would have beaten him in the ABAs and would have taken his position to go to the Commonwealth Games. He didn't, which then he turned professional, being as he didn't get picked to go to the Commonwealth Games. And he sought advice from myself, from a few other people, and we said, look, at your age now, it's a young man's sport. The likeliness of you going to the Olympics is quite remote because they had already picked people at Price, you know, ahead of Derek, you know. So he looked at a few offers out there, and then he turned professional. And when he turned professional, I wasn't actually his head coach. His old amateur coach, John Oliver, was his head coach for Derek Chisora's team, Team Chisora. If what I remember, John Oliver was involved for the first 2 fights for Derek as a professional. I was his assistant for the first 1 and 2 fights for Derek. After the second fight, John resigned for personal reasons. He resigned. So basically, I found myself at the deep end because I hadn't done this before at that level anyway. And it's either swim or sink. And you know, it's quite nerve-wracking, I'll be honest with you, because I hadn't not done it before. Especially Derek was quite a top signing because he was signed to Frank Warren, and you know, nobody knew who I was, including Frank Warren. It's like, who the hell is this guy? I haven't got any background. As far as they know, my amateur background was irrelevant to them. They hadn't heard of me. So suddenly, I'm training a guy who they've signed. You know. Anyway. The rest is history, so ask me whatever and I'll answer you.
You mentioned about Derek, you know, not having many amateur fights, and you know, we hear about, you know, so many fighters having loads of amateur fights, but when they turn professional, they seem to be like moved, you know, baby steps. But with Derek, I mean, in 20 fights, you know, up until his next fight against Malik Scott, I mean, he's been match so tough. I mean, what is it about Derek that, you know, you're happy matching him so tough?
Well, I'm not the matchmaker. I'm the trainer. So, Derek, you're quite right. Derek's been moved on. He's been fast-tracked, if I can use those terms. Yeah. He's been fast-tracked in the sense that as soon as he turned professional, because he's a character, Derek Chisora. You know, he's not just you know, this is show business. You know, he has a big character, Derek Chisora, a big heart. So, when he turned pro, Frank Warren, like I said, was the promoter, and obviously Frank saw something in him, and Derek kept urging Frank Warren to, look, I want to fight everybody. Listen, in Derek's second fight, after he won his second fight, he was asking Frank Warren to match him up with Audley Harrison, the gold medalist, as a professional. You know, Derek was very ambitious young man. He still is. So I think it's somebody willing. He was always willing and always pushing Frank Warren. And me being a coach who, again, I'm very ambitious, but, you know, within reason. You know, we know our limitations. Okay. Derek showed a lot of, in training, he showed me a lot as a trainer, and I have a lot of faith in the guy's ability, you know. I was taking him all around the country, sparring a lot of pros, like people like Michael Sprott, Roman Greenberg. You know, he had a lot of good upbringing, a lot of good company in terms of the professionals who was helping him at the time with sparring. So, you know, again, the promoter seeing what he saw, the matchmaker seeing what they saw, they kept bringing these opponents, and that was, you know, doing well. He made the transition from amateur to pro. He took to it pretty well. And so, you know, why not? If his kid's good enough. If I can give you an example, it's almost like Michael Owen at the World Cup. I believe was he 16 or 17 when he first made his first appearance for England, and he scored that wonderful goal against Argentina.
Yeah.
You know, if they're good enough, you know, the age is really not that important. If they're good enough, you put them in. It's simple as that.
Andy, you got some...
Yeah. Don, it's Andy here. You're originally from Nigeria. I'm just wondering if you've been back to Nigeria and can tell us a wee bit about the boxing scene over there.
I'll be honest with you, I've been in this country for 35 years. I've paid a visit to Nigeria probably about half a dozen times. The boxing scene in Nigeria, I mean, there's loads and loads and loads of talented boxers in Nigeria. You know, it's just one of those things, you know, there is no money. There is no money. It's the same with the football thing. There is no money in it. So you find a lot of the African fighters, to make a living, they have to come over here to the West. Whether it's Britain, America, Germany, mainly Britain and America, you find a lot of the African boys come over to try and hone their craft and make some money and make a better life for themselves. So because of the lack of funding from the Nigerian government, they don't have an infrastructure as such. They don't put any money back into the sport. So consequently, all these talented guys, it's kind of wasted in a way. Only very, very minority cross over to here and make it. You know, I mean, I've been in sport.
Ike Babuchi,
That's right. That's right. I mean, again, he was an exceptional talent. What a waste. He lost his ways, you know, which I'm really disappointed. I'm sure all the boxing fans are very disappointed. He lost his ways, you know. A lot of my African brothers, because I'm obviously originally I'm always an African first and foremost. I mean, I've appreciated living in England. Everything I've gotten from England, I've always appreciated. I like living here, but the fact is, it makes me sad when some of my brothers come over, whether it's here or to the US, and they lose their ways and lose their focus. It really disappoints me, because I think you've worked so hard to get out of poverty, and you've been given an opportunity of a lifetime to make something of yourself, and then perhaps go back and help your fellow Africans. And then when they come over here, they lose their ways, and it really, really is very disappointing.
Yeah.
You know, so on that front, I don't, whether they're footballers or boxers, it really does sadden me. I've worked with a couple of top African boxers, namely Ajozo Olusegun.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, he fought Matisse a wee while back there.
That's right, because you know,
tough guy, that.
Yeah, I mean, basically there's a chap called Joe Mensah. Joe Mensah, we refer to him as coach. We know him as coach. He was the head coach for Nigerian Olympic squad. He took Nigeria for 5 consecutive Olympics for boxing. Yeah, I was fortunate enough that when they were in London, him and a chap called ex-British heavyweight champion called James Oyebola, you familiar with him? Right. Yeah. They were a team, and Ajozo Olusegun and a chap called Tony Salam, they were a squad of the Commonwealth Games in Manchester, I believe it was held. And Ajozo Olusegun himself was an Olympian. He went to the Sydney Olympics for Nigeria. So, cut long story short, when they were here, through my Nigerian connection, James Oyebola and Joe Mensah, they joined forces with myself, because I had the gym in Finchley. They started working out at my gym, and then we joined forces. Then I became Joe Mensah's assistant with coaching Ajozo Olusegun. Then eventually, coach returned back to Nigeria and then left Ajozo here with me. So I trained Ajozo to win his British title. Then he got his British citizenship. I trained him to become the British champion and defend it a couple of times, and then he relinquished the belt. He was unbeaten whilst with me. Mm-hmm. He's only ever lost one fight, as you know, against Matisse. Yeah. He couldn't get enough fights here, so he went to the US to perhaps try and get further his career. But unfortunately, he's only been able to have 2 fights in 3 years, which is really disappointing.
Yeah, he was #1 contender for the WBC title for a while, and he waited for ages to get that shot.
Absolutely, this is why I disagree with the way boxing is done. The best don't necessarily fight the best, which is a really shame, you know, because that chap has been hanging around forever, having eliminator after eliminator after eliminator, and then once they found somebody else who nobody wanted to fight, Matisse, and they joined them two together, and look at the result. It was a very good fight. It was a very good fight, but he lost. But he's on the comeback trail now. He's had another victory since then. And by the grace of God, he will be given his chance, because it would be just such a shame if that guy never gets contest for any of the belts. It'd be such a shame.
Yeah. The other thing, Don, is, we were just discussing there about Derek being matched pretty tough. Mm-hmm. Does he, after like the fights against Klitschko and Helenius, is Derek ever struggled for motivation against lesser opposition?
Most definitely, that's evident. Especially namely his last fight. Yeah. As a coach, that performance did not represent anything that we do. I was embarrassed as a coach. Yeah. And I've told him so, Mr. Chisora, pull up your socks. Yeah, this is not acceptable, because that doesn't resemble anything that we practice. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's easier said from outside of the ropes. Yeah. There's a lot which I'm not going to go into, personal things that led up to that. Not looking for excuses. Like I said, under any circumstance, we have to be professional. Yeah. There was a lot of things that happened personally which led up to his mental attitude, which caused that awful display of, well, if I call it boxing, because it wasn't. Again, like I said, throughout my time as a coach, present and in the future and in the past, I hope any of my fighters don't perform like that. I won't say this because I'm tempting fate. I will not say what I'm going to say next. So I'm a very positive man. I just don't want to see that type of performance. It's just not acceptable.
Just before I pass it over, can I just ask about the build up to the Tyson Fury fight? Because Derek came into the ring at his career heaviest. I'm just wondering, is it because of the Klitschko fight being cancelled a couple of times that he probably just wasn't really mentally up for that fight to begin with?
Yeah, like you quite acknowledged there about the Klitschko, mentioned the Klitschko cancellation. That's just one of the many things that happened. It's almost like I've got an excuse for these performances, the bad ones. There was 101 things, 1,001 things that led up to being really overweight. I personally pulled him out of that fight. I went to his mother's house 2 weeks prior to the fight. I said, his mother's name is Viola. I said, Viola, your son shouldn't be having this fight. Okay, as a trainer, he hasn't completed the program that I set. He's injured, shoulder injury, groin injury, mental injury. Mental in the sense that the kid was breaking down. He was breaking down in training, and not physically, mentally, he was not there. Yeah, I couldn't get anything out of him. He was getting beaten up in sparring, and that's not like him. All the signs of failure was there. Yeah, don't forget, I'm a new coach. I haven't been here before. So what do you do when you see your fighters showing these signs you've never seen before? So my common sense told me, pull him out of the fight. Although, yeah, and there's a bit of stubbornness in me as well. And Derek Chisora, we're both stubborn people. So when you get two stubborn people together, stubbornness and when you haven't lost a fight, when you're not beaten as a coach and as a fighter, you have this belief that you're unbeatable. So even when you're at your worst, you believe I can't be beaten. That's what cost us that fight. I pulled him out of the fight, but unfortunately the people around, I won't go into details, said no. If you pull out, you're going to get stripped out of your both titles that you had, which was the British and Commonwealth champion at the time. The fight that never happened with Klitschko, there was no public apology from Klitschko, there was no compensation, not a penny compensation. There's just so many things that happened that I couldn't, if I went into them, it's almost like, I'm making excuses, but it's a fact. Mm-hmm. So when Derek now said, he went into the fight, you could see, everybody could see. In fact, up about round 6, if you watch the fight again, I permanently had the white towel in my hand. I was going to throw the towel in from round 6. So I thought, that's not my boy in there. He had a go, but that was not my boy in there. So Tyson Fury, we got the best Tyson Fury that we could have got on the night. The kid turned up the best shape that he could be in, and we turned up in the worst shape that we could be in. So it's very sad, but you know what? that sometimes in life, you know, I'm a God-fearing man. Things happen for reasons. You know, that fight did a lot to myself as a coach. It did a lot to Derek as a fighter. Okay, and that's the way his path, his destiny, that's the way it was shaped. And what transpired after that, he went on to better things. But the Tyson Fury thing, Tyson's gone from strength to strength from that fight, and I really wish him well, and I really believe that kid is good enough to become a world champion. And guess what? He also has a return, and guess what? When it really matters, it mattered then, don't get me wrong, we didn't want to lose our title that easy. When it really matters, when the big one, when Tyson goes and brings the world title back, we'll take it off him.
Tommy?
Don, I was just wondering, Derek has a big ego. I'm of the opinion that a certain level of fighter needs that sort of ego. Would you agree with that?
Oh, listen, London is a big place, yeah? You couldn't fit his ego in London, trust me. Yeah. He's got, listen, the kid's got a massive ego and the biggest swagger ever, yeah?
Yeah.
But you know what? I love him for that, because you know what? When you've got such an ego, when you know, he knows what people think of him. He really does. Yeah? So I always say to him, listen, you better perform, son, because if you don't, people are going to like ridicule you, right? Okay? And that's part of that makeup, you know? Yeah. I mean, right now his ego is dented badly. Obviously, I know you're going to ask me about the David Haye thing, because I'm going to tell you before you ask me. Yeah? Obviously, his ego is badly dented. Every time you have a loss, no matter how the loss was gotten, whether it's through knockout or whether it's through points decision, your ego, we've all got egos, including myself, yourself. We've all got, there's egos of different sizes, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, obviously his ego was badly hurt every time he loses, you know? So are you there?
Yes. I think the heavyweight division, it was bad for a long time, Don. I think it's on the way back now. Would you agree with that?
Most definitely. Worldwide. Mainly in Britain, you know. I'm so excited. I've done quite a few interviews with a few networks, and I always pick up on this point, right? The English scene right now, generally, in all the weight division, is so vibrant, it's so alive in all the weight divisions. Obviously, I'm a passionate heavyweight man. The heavyweight in Britain at the moment, like, it's so lively. You know, we've got at least half a dozen potential world heavyweight champions. I mean, David Haye has proved it already. He was a ex-heavyweight champion, and I believe he's on the quest to become another. I mean, there's so many belts, heavyweight belts out there, the genuine belts. I mean, obviously the Klitschko's are holding all the belts. But you know what? I think we are about to see a big shift in power in the next 5 years, right? I believe Britain is going to be I'm talking about UK, Great Britain, the whole Scotland, Ireland, and I think the whole heavyweight scene, we're going to dominate it for the next, in the next 6 years. I think the force is here.
And Don, you mentioned David Haye there. You know, there's rumours going around that Tyson Fury will be facing Haye later this year. You know, you've seen them both in the ring. How do you see that fight potentially going?
Well, you know what? This is what I love about. Like I said, I'm African originally. I'm still an African, right? But I love being here, what this country has done for me. So I will always represent this country. The reason I'm giving that explanation is because Tyson Fury and David are about to get it on, I believe, provided contractually everything goes well and they should get it on. Unlike the Americans, the reason I'm saying that, they don't fight each other. Here we fight each other, yeah? We fight each other. You know, the Americans are so scared of losing that unbeaten record, you know? Nobody wants to lose. If you look at the MMA people, they beat each other, you know? And so what? Best man wins. And you reckon yourself you fight the best man. Yeah? So the Tyson Fury and David Haye getting it on, that's brilliant for the boxing fan, even for myself. It's a mouth-watering fight. Now, how do I see it panning out? Should they meet? Right. It's a 50-50 fight, right? 50-50 in the sense that it's styles. Styles make fights. Okay? Now, one thing I can say to people, and to David Haye, I'm a fan of David Haye, although he beat us, I'm not a bitter loser. Yeah, we owe them a return. Should he be successful in beating Tyson, and should he be successful in the future, Derek has already spoken to me. He wants that fight again. Yeah, all the great fighters always fought the people that beat them, and hopefully got beat them in the return. Yeah. Anyway, should Tyson Fury and David Haye get it on? How do I see it panning out? Tyson Fury is underrated by a lot of people. Yeah. He's a 6'9" man that uses his height very well. He's very tricky, very awkward. People don't know how awkward this man is. Got a very good boxing brain. He's improved from fight to fight to fight. He's improved. His heart is unquestionable. His chin, yes, he goes down, but guess what? He gets up and he wins. Not only does he win, he stops the people that put him down in the same fight. Yeah? So you got to see a lot of things that in this kid. He's got a lot of charisma. He talks. He's very marketable. Brilliant name. So, yes, I'm a fan of his. So, should they fight David Haye? If David Haye doesn't employ another tactic, the one that didn't work against Vladimir Klitschko, then I'm afraid Tyson Fury wins. Okay, by KO, because Tyson can hit. He can tie you up. He can mess you up. He's quite dirty, but cleverly dirty. Haye is going to rely on one shot to take Tyson out. I don't think that's going to work. Tyson is open to the right hand, and I hope Tyson Fury's camp will address that gap that allows him to receive right hands, because that's his weakness, that right hand. People keep landing rights on him. He's got to shut shop. He's got to devise a way to stop that right hand coming in. If he can prevent David Haye's right hand and his hook, his hook took care of us. Then yeah, but don't get me wrong, David is one explosive fighter, right? A brilliant athlete, very explosive. He's got a lot of gimmicks, good fighting brain, intelligent, a top coach that coaches him, Adam Booth, top strategist. So really and truly, it's going to be a magnificent fight, should they fight. And I'm leaning towards Tyson Fury because the size is a very hard size to fight against. Yeah, and he's a big guy that can actually move. He's got good ring craft, you know. And yeah, I rate the kid. I rate him.
Don, I believe you trained Ali Adams, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
I noticed he's been banned for 2 years, but I'm also noticing BoxRec he's got a fight arranged in Dubai sometime this year. Was there any indication in the gym that he was actually using performance-enhancing drugs?
Right. You know, again, there's a few things that's happened in my career, in my short career so far as a coach. That was one of the most embarrassing, an insult. It was an insult to myself for a fighter that I train, because I'm a purist. I'm a guy who doesn't even smoke a cigarette. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yet again, a fighter of mine that I was training took drugs. Yeah. Uh-huh. With that, and I didn't know anything about it, because I'm totally anti. I'm going to sound American for a minute. We say anti, yeah, Americans say anti. I'm totally anti-drugs, any form of drug, okay? Mm-hmm. So for my fighter to now be done for drug taking is very embarrassing for me, and obviously it will cause suspicions towards any fighter that I train, yeah? That's what happens. That's the shame the man brought onto my camp, yeah? Mm-hmm. So I've forgiven him because he's spoken to me, but I haven't forgotten it. Now, it's to my surprise, why is he banned here and he's fighting in Dubai? I don't understand that. I thought a ban is a world ban.
Yeah, he's fighting a guy called Farouk Salim on the 28th of June, I believe. That's according to BoxRec, so that's obviously something to change.
Sure. Like I said, I condemn anybody that takes drug in the sport, because this sport is hard enough. Okay, 2 men in the ring risking their life. I think people should be on even playing field. So because it just happens it was my fighter that was taking drugs here against Audley Harrison. And guess what? Drugs doesn't actually make you win, because we lost the fight. He got knocked out. Yeah. So if you're thinking of taking drugs, any athlete out there, forget it, because it doesn't actually make you win. You're cheating, and it doesn't make you win. Okay? So, you know, again, I stress, why is he fighting? Why is he being allowed to fight? I thought it was a world ban. If it's an unlicensed fight, then maybe that's what it is. But I don't believe it's I don't know which body is sanctioning that fight. Okay, if somebody's banned, it should be a world ban, not just a ban in this country or America. It should be a world ban.
Yeah. Don, just at the start of the conversation, you were discussing the gym, and one name popped up, Danny Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Since losing to Derek Chisora, he's been forced to fight abroad because the British board won't give him a licence on medical grounds. Would you prefer to see Danny retire?
Danny Williams, when I was boxing in the ABAs for my club, we both boxed for the same club, like I said to you. Danny was a 15-year-old boy, yeah? He became my official sparring partner at the age of 16. I was 26 and he was 16. I knew from the moment this kid used to spar me, because it was always a big guy, even at that age. He used to hit me like a big man. Although I used to hold back, I was a lot older than him. I was well matured. But I knew from that day, from that period, that this kid is going to go all the way. Okay, now, coming forward to what you just asked me. He's like my son. He's like my brother. He's like my son. We speak on a regular basis. Even when he fought Derek, I didn't want that fight to happen. Because I knew what the result was going to be. Okay, I knew that I would be in Danny's head because Danny knows me well. And I know he knows that because he's a very, very, very strong man. But I hope he forgives me for what I'm about to say. He's very weak upstairs in his mind. Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Very big heart. I'm not talking about his heart here. He's got biggest heart. He's got a heart of 7 lions. But mentally, even him admits it. It depends on which Danny Williams turns up. Yeah? When Danny turns up, he's unbeatable. Hence why he beat the great Mike Tyson.
I think that's really been the story of Danny's career, John, hasn't it?
That's right. So, but I have called Danny on numerous occasions in the recent times, say, Danny, my brother, stop fighting. He's got a lovely family. Yeah, he's got a lovely wife, kids, Zoe and the kids. I've asked him personally, especially when he lost against Derek, I called him the next day. I said, listen, brother, come and see me. I don't want you to fight anymore. Let's go into business together. Let's use your legacy you've already built up. Let's go into things where you don't have to fight anymore for money. What is it, money? He said, no, it's not money. I just love fighting. I said, fair enough, but do me a favor. For the sake of your kid and your family, stop fighting. And to my surprise, yeah, and that's why the British board do such a great job, because they don't give people license who they feel fit to fight. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And yet again, it goes abroad, acquires a license, and, is fighting, and these things should stop, and it makes me sad when I see him, because he's better than that. People who are not even fit to tie his bootlace in his day are like just, beating him,
I mean, I believe he was close to almost £300 for his last fight in Russia, which I think was just last month, I believe.
Well, you know what? When I get off this, when I finish this, you just reignited that thing, I'm going to get on the blower to him again and find out what he's up to, because I haven't spoken to him for about 5 months. Right. I'm going to get onto him and try and see what he's up to, because I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I really don't want to hear that he's fighting for that. Then what is it? I know boxing is a disease, right? It's a lovely sport, but it's also a disease that people many boxers don't know when to quit, and those who quit always want to come back. Yeah, and it's such a diseased thing. It's a shame. It's a shame.
You just have to look at Evander Holyfield and how he's doing just now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hate seeing him. I'm sure we all hate seeing it, but it happens. It's just one of those things. Like I said, it's in history. It happened all throughout the history of boxing. There's so many sad stories, and it's not really. But having said that, the trend is kind of changing. There's a few modern fighters who are quitting whilst they've still got their health intact. Namely, Lennox Lewis is a prime example.
Yep.
Yeah, he got out and he stayed out. There's been so many temptations of him to come, big money offers for him to come back, and I believe he's one of the few as well that hasn't squandered his money, his earnings, ring earnings. Yeah, and I hope a lot of boxers follow suit and look after your money, invest it wisely. Yeah, don't have all these hangers on, because when the chips are down, all the hangers on they leave you. Yeah, in history of the sport, it happens. When the going is good, all these hangers on are there. I'm saying something to my present fighters, Derek Chisora, namely. Look after what you make in the ring, all your hard-earned money. Look after it. Yeah, and I believe he's doing that. He's a very clever guy, Derek. Actually, very shrewd guy.
I read an article maybe a year or so ago, and it says that Derek's got some interests outside the ring. So
yes, he has. You know, his nickname is Del Boy.
Yeah.
Three people van.
The character from the Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Not only do they have the name in common, Derek and Del Boy, he's actually like that, right? Derek could have £10 million. He hasn't, but I'm just saying. He could have £10 million and he would still like to do a deal down the road to make like £10. Yeah, a deal, just to do a deal on the side. He loves it. And he has an interest in antiques. Yeah, he buys and sells antiques. He buys and sells cars. Yeah, he just loves it. He loves trading. He's a trader.
I believe he bought an old telephone box, the old fancy red one.
Yeah, he collects the things like that. He's a eccentric, very eccentric guy, you know.
You know, Derek's got this fight coming up against Malik Scott on the 20th of July. I mean, he was looking like he was going to fight the big punching American Deontay Wilder. That fell through because of Wilder being in trouble with the law.
That's right.
This Malik Scott is a completely different fighter to Wilder. I mean, what are the problems he's going to present Derek with?
Well, you know, quite noted. Malik Scott, right? This guy, how can I describe him? I've watched him. You know what? I can actually go as far as saying he's probably the best heavyweight, technically, the way he puts his punches together.
Yeah.
Probably the best heavyweight that I've set eyes on in recent times, yeah? Because this guy puts punches together like a middleweight. Okay? The combinations he throws, is very, very adventurous. He's very experimental in the way he boxes. And I like that. He's he's a styler.
He's very smooth in the ring.
Yeah, he's a styler. Like I said, his flow is brilliant. Like I said, he puts punches together the same way if you're watching a light middleweight fighter, the way they put punch combinations together. And for a heavyweight, 6'5" heavyweight to do that, that's a talent. And to my surprise, again, and it reminds me a bit like my guy who I used to train at Jose Michigan, the light welterweight, a guy who was 30-0 before they gave him somebody who nobody else wanted to fight. And now Malik Scott is 35-0. What the hell are we thinking? Picking a fight with a guy who's 35-0.
This is another tough one for Derek.
It's a very tough fight in my opinion, Don.
Guess what? There is no one else to fight in the top 20. That's why. Because everybody else we approached said no. Okay? They're either engaged to have a fight with somebody else, or they're not interested. I'm not going to go through the names because for legal reasons. There's loads of names. Like I said, in the top 20, obviously not the Klitschko's, not David Haye, not Tyson Fury, because we've already engaged them. They're on hold at the moment. We're going to go back for them.
Was the Laney's rematch never possible, Don?
Yeah, that was a possible. He didn't want to know. Since Derek dealt with him, he's never been the same man. You know, so you know, trust me, Frank Warren is. Let's say that I'm gung-ho. Let's say Derek is gung-ho. I don't believe Frank Warren is. He's a very experienced promoter. And Dean Powell is a very experienced matchmaker. He's matched everybody, from Amir Khan to Joe Calzaghe to Ricky Hatton. They've done it all. And you know, when this man's name came up, we looked at it, we thought, you know what? This guy is good. He's very good. But you know what? We're going to beat him. We've never taken any fight. You don't go into a fight thinking, I'm not going to beat this person. Yeah? But obviously we've seen things we've seen, and we believe we can beat the guy. Derek can beat the guy. Hello?
Yeah, Andy, Tommy.
Are you there?
Hello?
Hello, I'm here. I'm still here.
Tommy, any questions, mate?
I'm alright, mate, no.
Don, just to quickly go back to that night in Munich. Things really kicked off pretty quickly. Did you wish you maybe grabbed a hold of Del Boy before he got to David, or are you quite happy how things turned out in the end, eventually?
Right. I'm a very honest man, and I will remain honest till the day I die. I'll say it how it is. When he got up, because you know, every fighter and trainer has a relationship, including myself and Derek. When my guy got up from that stool, I stood up. I followed him. I can categorically say to you, because I know him that well, I can categorically tell you that he wasn't going to do anything when he got up to David Haye. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Him and David Haye have history. People don't know this. Derek Chisora and David Haye have history. They're both London boys. They're both boys, two boys who like going out in the center of London in the nightclubs. Okay? There's competition between Derek Chisora and David Haye prior to all these things happening. They had a history. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Now, it's about who's going to be the king of the West End.
The alpha dog, basically.
Right. So, now, Derek has a reputation. Yes, he has, in London, in the club scene. He has a reputation. And David Haye is very aware of this reputation that Derek has. Okay? Now, when my boy stood up from that podium or the bench where we were having the press conference, post-fight press conference, don't forget, he's just been 12 hard rounds with the most feared man on the planet. Yeah? Fought the fight of his life. We're very disappointed that we didn't win because our game plan didn't go totally according to plan. Yeah? We didn't win, so we're very disappointed. So we're sitting there, licking our wounds. Up comes Mr. Haye, calling my boy a loser, which is unacceptable.
Yep.
Which is unprofessional. Yeah? I asked security to remove this man from this room because he wasn't invited to that room. He wasn't supposed to be in that room. Yet again, he was there. Not only was he there, he started opening his mouth, shouting insults at my boy, who just had a grueling 12-5 round fight with Klitschko. Now, when he got up, I followed him because I trusted that he's just going to walk up to the microphone. He said to David Haye, say what you're saying to me from a distance in front of me. Yeah? That's a bit of ego, a bit of macho-ness. Yes, there is all that involved, yes. Yeah? So when he approached David Haye, I believe David Haye, remember, like I said to you, they have a history, they have a past, those two. There's never been any physical confrontation between them, but there's been some friction between them in London. So when now, in a heated moment, Derek Chisora approaches David Haye, and now David, to his defense, he panicked. He thought Derek was going to probably strike at him. And David Haye, being the sort of character he is quite on edge character, very on edge. So when you got those two recipes, Derek Chisora background, David Haye on edge, bang, he hits out. He believes he struck first. It's like, I'd rather do this to Derek before he does it to me kind of thing. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? So, you know what? I kind of understand, two wrongs don't make a right. I kind of understand where David Haye is coming from. I tell you why. I used to run a security company many years ago in the West End, and I'll probably get nicked by the police for this, what I'm going to say. I used to, but the reason I say this, right, because a lot of there's a lot of stabbings and stuff. People, a lot of doormen used to get stabbed and shot and you name it. And these guys are just there to earn money to feed their families. Yet again, an undesirable will come to the door and possibly pull a knife and stab the doorman and stuff. So I used to, when we used to have our team meetings, I used to say to my men, strike first and ask questions after. I don't want to be the one who's coming to identify you in the morgue and go to your family to explain to your family that I lost a man. Yeah? I'm talking about no weapons. I'm talking about fist. We don't fight with weapons. Strike first. Yeah? So, in David Haye's defense in that instance, I believe that was his mentality. He struck first. Yeah? Out of panic. Then, it shouldn't have happened. It happened. Then, obviously, my boy had to defend himself. I tried to separate them from brawling, and to my surprise, Mr. Haye lashed out and threw a beautiful left hook that cut my lip wide open, right? And the rest I won't go into. It's all down on YouTube to see what happened after that. And it wasn't nice. It was very ugly, and it's not good for kids, teenagers, men, women who love the sport. It was a very ugly scene that I hope I never ever witness again in my career as a coach with any of my fighters or anyone involved in boxing. It wasn't good for the sport at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
To your credit, Don, you took that shot pretty well.
Listen, okay, this is where my best personal ego comes into this now, yeah? Listen, my background, okay, I did well as an amateur, but I didn't go to my destiny as a boxer. That's not what God wanted for me, to be a professional boxer, to become a world champion. That wasn't my path that God sent me. He sent me to be the best coach that I can be. In time, I will become that. So, David Haye thinks he can beat me, whether he's in the ring or outside the ring. He can't beat me. Yeah, I'm not drunk. I don't take drugs, so I'm not hallucinating. That man, this is not a threat. I owe him one because he took a free shot on me. I was merely trying to separate him from my boxer, fighting, brawling. He decided to hit me. It doesn't sit well with me, and I haven't forgiven him. I haven't. Okay, now. He got in the ring with Derek and he beat my boy, properly. You know what? That makes it even worse for me. Yeah? I'm not bitter. And I hope, the best news I heard is that the man is coming out of retirement, that he's not retiring, he's fighting on. I beg Tyson Fury to spare him. Don't beat him too much. Beat him, but don't beat him too much. Yeah? Because nothing will give me more pleasure. And Derek wants it, don't get me wrong. Derek wants a rematch with that man in the future, right? In the future, okay? We need a rematch with that guy, okay? And if my boy don't beat him a second time, trust me, I will glove up and I'll do it myself. And I mean it. This is not a joke, trust me. This is not a joke, yeah? The man thinks what? Because he became a boxer, WBA champion, he can fight me? As a human being, no, he can't beat me. I fought bigger and better men than him outside of the ring. He can't beat me. I refuse.
Don, how did you think the British Board of Control actually handled that whole situation afterwards?
With the ban, the ban, I believe the ban was correct, but they should have fixed a time to it. They put indefinite ban to it, which I believe was not the right decision, as putting the word indefinite. Yeah, indefinite is what really, they should have put a certain definite date to the ban, whether it's 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the ban, they should have put a thing to it, and they didn't put that. So that's where I believe they got that bit wrong. But in terms of governing the boxing in this country, I've always been pro the board, because I think they do a magnificent job, and they're still doing a magnificent job. And it's a pity, no disrespect to Luxembourg Boxing Board of Control, because they sanctioned and recognized that fight to go on. But the board, I believe, should have been the ones who staged that, or was behind that fight, that big fight. And but history is history. They've reinstated us, Derek Chisora, with his license, as you know, which I think we're grateful. And we've learned from it, Derek in particular, because, he knows don't step out of the line. There's code of conduct. You have to, conduct yourself inside and outside the ring and be a role model for kids. So I believe he's learned from that mistake.
Did you lose your license after that as well, Don?
No, I didn't actually. Obviously, the board are the board. If they turned around and took my license, they have every right. They issued the license. They've got the power to take it. Yeah. Fortunately, they didn't take it, so I was able to work. Whilst I believe I was in the corner for a few of my other fighters. Ashley Theo Payne, I believe, had a fight in between prior to the David Haye fight. So I was in the corner for that. No, they didn't take my license, and I thank them for that.
Don, how's Derek's preparation for the upcoming Scott fight, and who are you using for sparring partners just now? Or can you don't want to tell us that? Don't want to tell us.
I can't reveal the sparring partners. All I can say to you, again, obviously everybody tries and get people who can replicate what your opponent's going to be doing, and I've got a lot of people who can do that style. Got lots of cruiserweights. Yeah, that I can give you. I can give you a word that I'm using a lot of cruiserweights and lighter weight people to for the speed and to replicate what Mr. Malik does very well. Like I said, I am a fan of his. It sounds like I'm a fan of everybody because I'm a very honest guy. I say it how it is. You know, we don't.
Yeah.
You know what? The biggest killer in life, yeah, is fear. You know, if you fear something, it's going to destroy you. You gotta embrace something that's good. Embrace it, love it. Yeah, and then that's how I conquer my fears. Embrace it. Don't fear it. Get to understand it.
Are you able to give us a wee insight as to how you intend to fight Scott? Is it going to be right on his chest, Joe Fraser style, or is it going to be kind of cagey for the first opening few rounds?
I've got I'm going to plug something that I'm involved with. I've written a module which is called Box Clever. It's a word that's generally used in everyday life, Box Clever. Box Clever is my teaching method, which I'm going to hopefully soon be online. So we're going to Box Clever on that night.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to Box Clever. I'll basically use it as a description of what we have to do. We're going to box how we normally box, but it's going to be boxed in a clever way, done in a clever way.
Well, has anyone got any other questions? We've kept you on for nearly an hour now, Dan.
Listen, let me tell you something, yeah? If you've noticed, or I'm sure you have, I can talk for England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Nigeria, and the whole of Africa. So it's up to you, man. I've got time. It's entirely up to you.
Just so we can quickly go back to the Vitali Klitschko fight. You know, one of the takes I got from the fight was he didn't really cut the ring off well. It looked like he just kind of marched straight forward into Vitali. I take it he'll be looking to try and cut the ring off better against Scott.
Absolutely. It's called experience, you know. This is where experience comes into it. Yes, we may have had the world title shot too soon, but you know what? No regrets. We had it. And guess what we gained from it? Yeah, experience. You can't buy experience. You have to experience it. So if we've got experience from Derek got experience as a fighter from that fight. As a coach, I got experience from it. Yes, we lost. Luckily, you know, we didn't lose in the fashion that a career-ending loss. No, he performed really well. But like you quite noted, he didn't carry out the full game plan. The part of that game plan was to cut the ring off. He didn't. He followed. You're quite right. He followed in straight line. If you listen to the commentary, if you listen to my during the break, the 1 minute break, my instructions, I kept reminding Derek. I said, do not follow him on straight lines. Come on angles like we had practiced. But it's easier said from outside the ring. When you're in front of the most feared man on the planet, on a big stage like that, obviously you can't take and implement and carry out everything because of the inexperience. And that's like Derek quite acknowledged after the fight when he was being interviewed. He said, experience beat me today.
Yeah, he did say that. That's correct, yeah. Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, just about the Klitschko's, you know, in the way, you know, Vlad dealt with Chisora, like, you know, messed him about with 2 fights. I mean, what was going on there? I mean, because he was going to fight him, said he was injured. Was he really injured? And then he seemed to get the Hay fight, and it was just a lot of messing about on Derek.
Right. Like I said to you, I'm a very honest man. If anyone doesn't like it, glove up. Let's get in the ring. Let's get it on. So basically, I will always tell the truth. The truth is, Mr. Vladimir Klitschko, okay, these guys run boxing. They run boxing. The Klitschkos run boxing. So I won't go any more into that, except for our own personal experience when we went to fight him initially. We went to a place called Fort Williams in Scotland to prepare for the fight. We flew our sparring partners over to Scotland. The people of Scotland really welcomed us, embraced us, and looked after us, gave us so much love and support. And Derek was so pumped up. The whole team was so pumped up for that fight. We were going to make history. Okay? 2 African boys, me, Derek Chisora. Who would have thought? That's our mentality when we went for that fight. Okay? Novices. We were both novices. Derek was a novice fighter. I was a novice coach. Yet again, we found ourselves, to challenge for the world heavyweight champion of the world. Only in his 15th fight, 1-5, 15th fight, right? So we find ourselves in Germany, Mannheim, Germany. Now, I read an article prior to when the fight was first made. I read an article in the Boxing News, and the great, late Emanuel Stewart, he said, you know what? I don't understand this fight. Vladimir called him saying, we're fighting a guy called Derek Chisora. Emanuel Stewart said, I haven't even heard of this guy, so it's just going to be a formality, So that was that. I said, fantastic. That's exactly what we want, for them to underestimate us. Anyway, we got to Germany. The very first time, because Emanuel Stewart does, I believe the way he does with the Klitschkos, the arrangement is the Klitschkos train and he comes over for two weeks at the end and oversees everything to make sure everything is in place. Technically, physically, everything with the strategy. So the first time he set eyes on Derek was he came a week before the fight to to Germany. Emanuel Stewart did. We met him at the press conference. Don't forget, every press conference, Derek is a master of press conferences. That kid is a genius. Yeah, he's a genius at press conferences. He's able to get into fighters' heads. He got into Vladimir's head in London. He got into his head in Germany. Then Emanuel Stewart, with his experience, thought he could pick up that Vladimir's spirits were killed by Derek Chisora's. He thought, I'm going to save my fighter here in the press conference. He came up to the podium. The very first thing he said was the worst thing he could have said. He attacked Derek verbally. He said that Derek was a woman beater. And that didn't sit very well with Derek. And now, I'm not going to go into it for legal reasons. My boy was done for beating his girlfriend up. Okay? I've got a sister, two sisters. I've got a mother and I've got a girlfriend. I'm a very pro. I don't want any man to put their hands on any woman. It's wrong all day long. Okay? Mm-hmm. Right. If your girlfriend is cheating on you, I'm not saying you should smack on them. Right? Nobody, this is probably the first time I've revealed the reason. Like I said, no reason could justify a man putting their hand on a woman, first and foremost. But nevertheless, Derek himself, he's too proud to say this is what actually happened. Anyway, I won't go into details. So Emanuel Stewart did the worst thing he could have done. He came on that stage and said, you're a woman beater, blah, 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 blah. And that was basically unsettled Derek. But it didn't. It made Derek worse in the sense of his anger now. So now, really, I'm going to beat your boy up. Right? Mm-hmm. So Derek Chisora, he gave an answer, which I'm not going to repeat to Emanuel Stewart because he's not here to defend himself. But he's a great man. Yeah, and I respect him. So, literally after that press conference, the following day was a public workout at the Mercedes head office in Mannheim. Now, we went to the public workout. Again, my inexperience showed because I've never done a public workout in my life. Yet again, I'm there on a world stage trying to do a public workout. Now, I said to Derek, I preempted, I said to Derek, you know what, I'm not going to do too much. I'm just going to do 2 minutes on the pads with you. And that's all we're going to show. And then you do some shadow boxing and that's it. Derek has said, fine. But we showed too much. The pad work we did do was too explosive. We showed too much. And Emanuel Stewart, the great Emanuel Stewart, I saw him nodding as we were doing our thing. And when they got up to do theirs, to my surprise, I was expecting to see something really spectacular because I want to learn. I want to learn from these great people. I didn't see anything. I thought, it's either they're hiding something or that's really it. And you know what? They weren't hiding anything. That's really it. I'm not impressed. I'm sorry. I wasn't impressed at all. So
going back to Vladimir's pulling out the fight.
Yeah.
It seemed like Derek was the last person to know about that.
Right, exactly.
It was broke online. That was very disrespectful. I thought.
Exactly. So the reason because I go a long way, because I want to give you every detail, so I'm not misunderstood. So that evening, after that workout, public workout, we went home. We went to the hotels, and I had my colleague, my second. I went to his room. We were just chatting, passing time by. Because the fight was going to be the next 2 days' time. I said to my colleague, his name is Tunde Ajayi, he's a trainer also. I said to Tunde, you know, my biggest concern here is that Vladimir turns up. You know, he said to me, you know what, Don? I've picked up something, and when we were there today at the public work, I picked up a really low camp. Their morale, the whole camp, their morale was low. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So do you know what? The same evening, I got a phone call from Derek from his hotel, because he wasn't staying where we were staying. He was staying 50 miles away from where we were staying, because he didn't want to stay in the same hotel that the Klitschko's booked us into, because he was paranoid of what the Klitschko's possibly get up to. So he booked himself into a secret hotel 50 miles away. It's like from London to Brighton. Yeah?
Yeah.
So he called me, Derek called me, he said, you will not believe the phone call I've just had. I said, what's that? He said, Homeboy has pulled out. He referred to Vladimir as Homeboy. He said, Homeboy has pulled out. I said, Derek, because Derek pulls a lot of pranks on me. He's a prankster, yeah? I said, Derek, listen, yeah, I know I'm an old man. Do not play jokes now. This is not a joke. I said, he goes, no, seriously, Homeboy's pulled out. I said, Derek, I'm not hearing that. You're not saying. He said, I'm telling you, Don, Homeboy has pulled out. I said, why? He said, Frank just called me. Homeboy has pulled out. So secondly, I put the phone down. Frank called me. He said, son, he said, I'm sorry to tell you this. I said, Frank, you're not. I said, Frank, no. He said, I said, Frank, with all your power, you've got to tell him he's got to fight. He's got to fight. I said, Frank, he said, I'm telling you, Don, I'm not having it. He said, it's pulled out. There's nothing we can do. It's pulled out. I said, pulled out with what? He said that it's got a 2-inch tear, abdominal tear. Now, we had a physio with us who we traveled with us. He was with us with Derek for the whole camp. Okay, his name is Pedro. We call him Dr. Pedro. He was actually the physio for Chelsea Football Club. He was doing it for us. And that physio, who's a very experienced physio, Pedro, he said from his experience in all his time as a physio, don't forget, this guy works with top athletes, okay, top footballers in Chelsea. Chelsea is a multi-million-pound company. Okay, he said in all his experience, to get a 2-inch tear in your abdominal area, you have to be doing something really, really strenuous to get that. Okay, what could you possibly be doing after you've done all your training, you've done your public work? What could you have done to get a 2-inch tear? We questioned it. So what they did, they fobbed us up. They said, look, we're going to reschedule the fight. Okay, go back to London. We'll give you another date. So okay, fine. We went back to London. Within 3 weeks or so, they said, all right, you're going to fight in April. And then a couple of weeks after that, Mr. Hay hijacked our fight. Because they realized, and let me just say something else, yeah, because it's the truth. The truth is the truth. If anybody don't like it, come personally and question me. Come to my face and question me, right? The great late Emmanuel Stewart, I have spoken to him since then. 7 weeks prior to Mr. Stewart passed away, I spoke to him about something else, and he acknowledged, yeah, he's not here to say it. I wish I taped the conversation.
Didn't want the fight.
He said, I pulled him out because you guys were too hungry, too dangerous, the style just wasn't right, and I think he's also said it in other publications, and I think he's also said, he wasn't totally direct. He was indirect in the way he was saying it, but he has said it to me. He is the one. He pulled the fight.
I can remember something along those lines as well, Don. It wasn't really along the lines of where he was hungry or whatever, but it was something to be this guy is to be fully respected in so many ways.
Yeah.
I remember reading that as well.
Now, what I learned from that, obviously the disappointment of 2 cancellations and denied us of our what we could have achieved at that point. Who's to know what would have happened to Derek Chisora had he become a world champion? Yeah, I said to Derek, you know what? I'm a very strong believer in God. I'm a faith man in the faith. I believe you weren't meant to win that, because had you won that, Derek Chisora, do you know what? You may not be here on this planet with us now. God knows what would have happened. You would have maybe lost your head. You would have gone and bought the fastest car, the Ferraris, you name it. And God forbid you would have gone and crashed yourself and left the world. God didn't want that for you, so he denied you. These things happen. And now, let me add to that. To become a great coach, it's not just about holding a pair of pads up and technically calling out shots. Now, what makes people great. Emmanuel Stewart, the great late Emmanuel Stewart, he sat ringside when we did the public workout. He was able to determine from his findings, observations, that no, abort mission. This is not for us. This kid is better than what we anticipated. Abort mission. He saved his boy from losing. Not only would he have lost his titles, he would have lost his legacy, he would have been embarrassed. A 15th fight novice, in fact, it was a 14th fight novice, because that would have been Derek's 15th fight, would have beaten you. Yeah?
Yeah.
And it would have stopped him. It wouldn't have been a points decision. Derek would have knocked the man out. Yeah? So, the great late Emmanuel Stewart, God rest his soul, because that's what makes you great, because he was able, from his experience, because I believe the fighter would have fought. Vladimir would have gone ahead and fought. But the coach looked at what he looked and saw what he saw. That was enough for him to determine, no, abort mission. Come another day to do this.
Don, was it? I remember reading. I don't know if it was Frank Warren that stated it, but was it true that Vladimir Klitschko actually had a clause in the contract that he could actually walk away from that fight without any compensation? Well,
I'm not a contractual lawyer. Yeah, don't call me naive. I'm just a coach, and I believe I'm good at what I'm doing. I'm still trying to aspire to be the best I can and become the best in the world. I want to be a world champion coach, and I will do it by the grace of God. Now, I'm not a contractual lawyer. I've never seen the contract, because I concentrate on what I'm good at doing, which is training boxers. And Frank Warren, we trust him, and we believe that he contractually has done many, many, many contracts. And if he says to us, go ahead and fight, the contract is safe, go ahead. We did. We trusted and went ahead and let him deal with the contracts. So if he's saying that there was clauses saying that the Klitschko could walk away, then yes, that was a mistake on, let's say, the promoter's behalf. Because going into such a thing, you should be covered for such incidents or for such happenings. I've learned from that. I'm still not a contractual lawyer. I will give contracts in the future to a contractual lawyer to overlook it before my fighter fights, because to prevent such thing. Because that thing led, two cancellations with no compensations, demoralized my fighter and affected him when he went to defend his title against Tyson Fury. He was not in a good place mentally. Derek Chisora, that is, should I say.
Yeah, you mentioned there obviously about it was probably God's will that Derek didn't win the world title, because the thing is, if he did win, he would probably have to rematch Vladimir, and then he would have fought Vitaly as well.
That's right. That's in their contract, yeah. But like I said, destiny determines what happens. Yeah, it wasn't his destiny at that time to win those belts. Yeah, hence why all the things that happened. Listen. Things happen, we don't like it when it happens. We still don't like it now. But you know what? You try and make sense of them when they happen. You try and find reasons. We're always asking why? The answers are all there. Time reveals what the reasons why things happen. Time. If we're given time, then we're able to find out the reasons why things happen. And I believe from my own wisdom, that the reason those things didn't happen, like I said, it wasn't Derek's destiny to have achieved great things at such a young age. I believe when his time is right, God will present it, and I hope that's in the near future.
Don, there's an upcoming fight between Vladimir Klitschko and Alexander Povetkin. How do you see that one going?
Wow. Yeah, and another mouth-watering fight. I'd be surprised if that fight actually does happen.
Drug testing demand, yeah.
Yeah. I heard a few things a few days ago, so I'd be very surprised if that fight does happen. And it just shows you that the sport that we're in, that it's not right and it's not fair, and it's been allowed to happen. One rule for one party and a different rule for other parties. It's not right. For the sake of money, it shouldn't happen. There's people's lives at risk. It shouldn't be allowed to happen, but it happens. It shouldn't be, Floyd Mayweather, the great Floyd Mayweather, may I add, the man is great. Yeah? He insisted on Manny Pacquiao having such a similar test. Yeah? And the public, the general public, boxing loving public, were denied of that fight because one Manny Pacquiao would not take that test. Yeah? Okay?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be allowed to happen. They should all be made to have tests. Yeah? It should all be
I
made
agree with that. The Olympic
Yeah.
testing should be implemented,
and it's about to repeat itself. If this fight between Povetkin and Vladimir doesn't happen, yeah, then you know what? It's a shame and it is a disgrace to the sport because the public yet again are going to be denied of that fight because
Don,
of those
and we're also just talking about drug testing demands. In your experience, how good is the British Boxing Board of Control drug testing out of competition testing? How good is it?
It's very good.
Is it?
It's very good because I think we've got a very good record here in terms of how many people that get exposed and they're even it's not even at the top level. You look at number of fighters. I won't mention names domestically. I always get. I will mention names. My fighter that I used to train, Ali Adams. He's on as I said, domestic level. When he got found out, and there's a number of other fighters on domestic level who in the UK have been found out. So it's not just catching the big fish. You should also stop catch it at the low level so that it's a deterrent to the people who before then they go on to their further their career and earn large amounts of money, possibly cheating. Possibly cheating. Who's to know? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not calling anybody a cheat here because it's not proven. Yeah. It's not proven. So, but I think the world of boxing should demand that these tests carry out. Yeah, you want to participate, you want to get into a ring with a man and possibly risk your life and theirs. Yeah, it should be on an even playing grounds. No drugs, just gloves. No drugs, just that. Right? You know what? That just sounds good.
That rhymes up. Well, you have to copyright that one. Yeah.
Absolutely. No drugs, just gloves. You know what? That's bloody good.
Yeah, copyright that one, mate.
Yeah, well.
Make a bit of bob.
Just one quick question. I mean, you said you were obviously trained in Scotland for the Vladimir Klitschko fight. Whereabouts were you based on?
Fort William.
Fort William.
Yeah.
You planning coming back up at some point?
Most definitely. I mean, they embraced us there, and Billy. What's the? Oh dear, he's gonna hate me for saying my friend. Ricky Burns' trainer?
Billy Nelson. I'm good friends with Billy, yeah.
The man is gold. He sorted everything out for us, and he really accommodated us. In fact, he's based in Glasgow, but he made a journey to Fort William and sorted everything out for us. And like I said, they gave us so much love and support that Derek promised that one day. The reason Derek hasn't gone back there or requested to go back there because he feels he needs to win a world title, and in the defense of the world title, he will go back to the people of Fort William and say, thank you for supporting me that many years ago. Here, I did it. Yeah.
Well, we'd certainly like to come up and visit you anyway if you don't win the world title, but if you come back up to Scotland, we'd like to come up and visit you and see some training sessions.
Most definitely. By the grace of God, our quest will take us back. Like I said, we will win a version of the world title in the near future, and we will return to Scotland, Fort William, and we were based at the bottom of Mount Nevis. Yeah, it was in all my life, and boxing is such a wonderful thing, because some of the places I've been to and some of the things I've done as a boxing coach, as in the places it has taken me, in a million years, I don't believe I would have touched foot in those places, and the experience I got. And so close to nature when we went to Scotland at the bottom of Mount Nevis. It was winter time, so it was so much snow. And I wake up and I look out my room, and literally, when I say look out the room where we were staying, my room was Mount Nevis was in my garden. It's like fairy tale. It's like things in the movies. And because of boxing, did it for me. I tell you, these things are priceless.
It's beautiful in the summertime up there, actually, as well.
I bet it is. But my experience was in the wintertime, and I absolutely loved it.
Any other questions, guys?
Don, what other fighters are you training right now?
I've got my camp, right? Do you know what? My camp is so strong at the moment, and I've got, let me start from the heavyweight and go downwards. And no particular order. Derek Chisora, heavyweight. Ian Lewison, heavyweight. Wadi Camacho, cruiserweight.
Oh yeah, prize fighter, yeah.
Wadi Camacho, cruiserweight. Mark Prince, cruiserweight. JJ Ojideri, cruiserweight. My wonderful, and I love him, yeah, a chap called Yazin El Machi, okay, is a light welterweight. He fluctuates. He fights light welterweight, light middle, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He won
the showman.
The showman, exactly. He was in the prize fighter the last.
He won in the final, didn't he?
That's right. And do you know what? Unfortunately, he got an injury on his knee, and he hasn't fought since then. And let me tell you the good news: he's back. He's back. His knee is fixed up. He's had 6 operations on the same knee in the last 18 months, keyhole surgeries, and it's finally. God is wonderful. Finally, he's got his leg back, and he's back in training. Okay, he's back. And then I have a young man called Bailey Ojideri, brother to the cruiserweight JJ Ojideri. He's unbeaten, 5-0. I co-trained actually Theo Penny. He's not on my camp, but I do train him occasionally. Actually, Jose Olusegun. Okay. And yeah, that's it really. That's it. That's the fighters I have at the moment. And in the amateurs, I've got a son. He boxes under the name of Kobe Fox. His mother's name is Fox, so he's using his mother's name. He's having his first fight in September, amateur fight in September. He's 20 years of age, and watch out for him in the future.
Any questions, guys?
No, that's pretty much it, mate.
I just want to say we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, Don.
It's been a pleasure. Can I just give a shout out to my good friend who's based up your way, Kevin Marie?
Yep.
Kevin,
yeah. Brilliant coach, underestimated, and I know he's got Kenny there, and Kenny Anderson, and the man is a lovely man. Again, there's so many good coaches in this part of the world, but unfortunately, we don't big up our own. You know, we have to start, you know, promoting our coaches. We've got some brilliant, fantastic coaches. Billy Nelson, you know, like I said, a wonderful coach. The job he has done with Ricky Burns, you know, and nobody shouts about this man. I think he's a top world class coach, you know. And again, like I can go on forever. The list is endless in this country. The top coaches in this country, and they don't get the recognition that we should. We're too busy praising Americans.
Yep.
You know,
yeah.
I think we should start recognizing our own. Really, we should.
I can remember once Billy Nelson stating that Jimmy Tibbs was our own version of Manny Stewart.
Well, there you go. You know, that's another man, a legend. Jimmy Tibbs is a legend. Yeah, he's a legend. And I've had the great honor in working with the man. I mean, listen, I was growing up. I'm sure you guys were the same. Watching Nigel Benn, Eubanks.
Oh, he was my favourite.
And how did that? Look how wonderful life is. Yeah. How did I know that one day I'm going to be associating with the great Jimmy Tibbs? You know. And it's really, boxing is a wonderful sport. And you got my good friend up in Norwich, Graham Everett. Again, this guy's trained world champions in the past, and he's got fighters currently he's training. Again, no one writes or shouts about this man, you know, the work he does, you know, or Adam Booth for that matter. Listen, the list is endless. Adam Booth, what he has achieved, yeah, as a guy who wasn't really noted as a boxing coach who came into the game. Look what he's done, you know.
I can remember Adam Booth training Spencer Fearon as well, eh?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, the list is endless. You know, you know, there's a lot of great coaches in this country, and up and coming coaches. My good friend Tunde Ajayi, yeah, the guy's done so many things. You know, he's got a son at the moment. I don't know if you're aware of it. I think he's 18 now. Otto Asaba, yeah, check him on YouTube. The kid is a genius. What he's done, and that kid is gonna do wonderful things in the future. I'm so excited to be actually involved in the is a proper thing. Tunde's got a program he's got and a plan. He's got a master plan with that kid, and I'm really grateful I'm going to be a part of it.
What was his name, Don?
The coach is Tunde Ajayi.
Mm-hmm.
And the boy who's actually his son is Otu, O-T-U, Asaba.
Asaba.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check him out.
Check him out. The kid is it's like the Coca-Cola kid. he's brilliant. You just check him out. The rest speaks for itself. Check him out.
No problem.
All right.
And Don, do you think we'll be able to maybe catch up again, maybe after the fight, and have a chat again?
Do you know what? It would be a great pleasure because I hope I hope whether in defeat or victory, by the grace of God, we will be victorious. I believe we will. Derek knows, yeah, he's up for this one, Derek is the sort of character, he has to be up for a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah? So a challenge. And believe me, Malik Scott is a big challenge.
Yep.
Big challenge, and we
look forward to it.
Yeah, we will rise to it. He will rise to it.
Don, thanks very much for your time. That's much appreciated. Some very good insight there.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. You know what? This is probably the most extensive interview I've ever given as a coach. Because you guys have drawn it out of me.
Sorry about that.
No. Listen,
no, I'm joking.
No, I've enjoyed this. This is what it's about, man. People get more insight into what's actually going on behind the scenes.
I give you credit because you understood the two Scottish accents.
Listen, I'm not English, my friend. I'm an African man. You're lucky I'm not even speaking in my Nigerian lingo. What are you talking about, my friend? What kind of question are you asking me?
Excellent.
Listen, I love you all, man. Stay in touch here, and after the fight, we'll speak, yeah?
Yeah,
all the best, Don. Good luck.
All the best. We'll look forward to the fight.
All right, take care.
Thanks a lot, Don.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
By the way, how much am I getting paid for this?
We'll get back to you.
That's the Nigerian in me coming out.
Well, Don, you know us Scots are quite tight with cash, so we'll not pay you anything.
Oh, don't worry. A Nigerian will get your cash out of you. Don't worry about that. Take care, right?
Thanks a lot, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Take care.
All right, bye, mate. Bye.
Bye.